Colorado football standout Shilo Sanders recently appeared in an Instagram video wearing a long-sleeve black shirt with a certain piece of jewelry tucked underneath it, minus a necklace that was mostly concealed from the camera that filmed it. It was a curious fashion move for him. He otherwise often has displayed his necklaces more like his father and coach, Deion Sanders, who wears expensive chains over his shirts, not underneath. That's the point in his case. Why would you have this kind of jewelry if you're not going to show it? But in Shilo's case, it turns out there are big reasons to bury the bling these days. He needs to be laying low because that bling is going to raise questions, said Nicole Stanton, a bankruptcy attorney in Atlanta. Blame it on his troubling legal situation. Shilo Sanders declared bankruptcy in October, hoping to discharge about $11 million in debt from a court judgment against him in Texas. It's up to the court whether to discharge that debt. But if it denies the discharge, that judgment is owed to a man who has been closely monitoring any of Sanders' possessions that could be sold to collect on it, including Shilo's necklaces and especially the business deals that bring him income from his name, image, and likeness, nil. The necklaces alone show some of the strange dimensions of this situation for Shilo Sanders, 24, who comes from a famous family that is known for its displays of wealth and luxury. Flashing bling is part of the Sanders family brand, including custom-made diamond necklaces and his quarterback brother's famous wristwatch. But because of the bankruptcy, Shilo now has incentive to look like he's poor while still being truthful and disclosing all that he owns in court, as required by law. It's because he's being watched. The attorneys for the man seeking to collect on that judgment have been looking for public displays of his wealth and have questioned if he's illegally hiding assets that could be sold to pay off his debt, minus which Sanders' attorneys have denied. So he needs to heed some advice. Legal experts said minus disclose all you own in court, but don't give any potential debt collector more reasons to question where you're getting the money to buy new things or whether certain necklaces you're wearing were properly included in your court disclosures. If the bling bling is his, you don't wear it, said Metchelly Dickerson, a law professor at the University of Texas. If the bling bling is part of a nil deal that is with a jeweler, he could give it back. You don't own it anyway in that case, so just give it back. A good lawyer would say you need to show up looking like a bum from now until the case is dismissed. In the Instagram video, Shilo appears to touch the necklace at one point to make sure it's tucked in place, though his intent for tucking it in is not known. The University of Colorado has said Shilo and his father declined comment on the pending bankruptcy case. Love how he tucked in the jewelry. Read the room, one commenter said about it on Instagram. How he discloses his jewelry has been an issue in his bankruptcy case from the start. In his initial Chapter 7 bankruptcy filing in October, he listed $478,000 in assets, including necklaces he valued at $75,000. His attorney then amended the value of his assets in December down to about $320,000 and removed the necklaces from the list of assets he owned, changing it to say he had $75,000 in necklaces that were on loan pursuant to a nil deal with Saki Diamonds. They're going to have to prove that, said Stanton, who is not involved in the case. How do you prove that? Affidavits. Testimony. Give it back. In late February, the trustee overseeing Sanders' bankruptcy estate requested access to Sanders' home to complete an inventory of his assets. The trustee also requested an inventory of the jewelry with the name, telephone number, and addresses of the alleged owners, the trustee's attorney said in a court filing in February. The trustee further requested any contracts between the debtor, Sanders, debtor-affiliated entities, and third parties that would show that the jewelry was used for promotional purpose, the court filing said. No information has been provided. Sanders' attorney replied that Sanders is cooperating in all respects with the trustee, but it's not clear if he provided what was sought. His attorney and Saki Diamonds didn't return messages seeking comment. After Sanders' attorney removed his necklaces from his list of assets, it raised eyebrows with attorneys for the man who was trying to collect on the judgment against him. That man is John Darjean, a security guard at Sanders' old high school in Dallas. Darjean sued Sanders in 2016, claiming Sanders assaulted him and caused him permanent injuries in an incident at the school in 2015, when Sanders was just 15 years old. Sanders disputed the allegations but didn't show up for the trial in March 2022, after he dropped his attorneys in 2020 and then didn't receive a notice in the mail about the trial because it went to his old address. Without Sanders there to contest the allegations in person, the Dallas County Court accepted Darjean's version of what happened and awarded him the $11.89 million judgment by default. Sanders' attorney said he didn't even know about the judgment until last year but filed for bankruptcy soon after he did. It was hard to miss after Darjean's attorneys started aggressively pursuing debt collection efforts against Sanders and cited his displays of wealth on social media.